All right, how's it going, everybody? It is the Osmo.com NHL DFS Strategy Show, and just two games to talk about for today. We'll spend a little bit of time recapping last night. It was a bloodbath for me personally, and so we'll take a look at that, and you guys can see how bad I got crushed. Look at some players who did well, and yeah, it'll be good. We'll go through these two games. I think there's potentially a pretty big edge in the first game here in terms of maybe predicting lines for the Blackhawks. They played last night, so they're not going to skate. Nice. Eric S. took down the FanDuel GPP last night, as well as the $5 DK single entry. Wow. Nice job. That's really cool. Taking it down on both sites. Good. That's really hard to do. I feel like I don't even think I've ever done that. Playing 150 when I've played on both sites in the same night. So really impressive. Had my chance last night and blew it with my four defensemen, with my defenseman 12th in the 295. Well, 12th, you probably did okay. You probably at least doubled your money there, right? Probably more than that, 3x or so, depending on how the payouts were over there. Some Arizona, Toronto, Coleman. Took second in the $7 FanDuel crossbar, those smaller entry pool. Yeah, I'm glad you guys had some success last night because I certainly did not. And it was weird too because the Islanders, if you saw those lines, we alerted the channel right when the lines came out. So I think most people, most of our premium subscribers were able to swap. I think you had like 22 minutes or so to figure that out. So I was able to get all my swaps in. Brock Nelson scored twice. So the people who played Anders Lee with Eberle and Nelson rather than Barzell, who was actually on that line, ended up getting rewarded. So super frustrating when that happens. There's also a change on the Toronto side. Engvall was with the Tavares line, and then Kerfoot got moved down to line 3. So that ultimately didn't pay out either, or pay up, at least for me. But I think if you make those swaps more often than not, you will be able to take advantage of some people that maybe aren't paying attention. Most people that aren't paying attention. You got a Q ticket? Played both. Oh, Q ticket. Okay, so you got you want a satellite to go into the chance to win a Q. Got it. Cool. I was gonna say I didn't think there was a Q last night. Yeah, Arizona won. They got there really late. I think there were a couple empty. I think they had an empty netter. Winnipeg one was pretty good. Islanders one was just fine too. Barzell got a goal taken away. That hurt a little bit, but yeah, it was really weird because the slate started off so well for me. Islanders won, full line goal, and then I was like, man, we're just gonna cruise. But no, ultimately did not end up playing out, and some really cashy lineups. I mean, people just had the complete nut one-offs, and so full line goals ended up not even mattering because really there wasn't a line that went nuclear on an 11-game slate, and there were one-offs like the Coleman hat trick. Kubalik had a huge game, but his their line mates didn't really do much of anything. So I'm looking to move on to tonight's slate, but it looks like a bunch of you are here for the two-gamer. If you could give a like, that would be very much appreciated. As always, helps us do this content for free, continue to do it for free. That's how we would prefer, so we can reach all of you. Promo code Hit the Ice is how you get 50% off your first week of any Osmo Plus weekly package. You don't just have to use that on NHL. You can use that on NBA if you're watching for NBA or NFL, whatever you want to do. Just has to be a weekly package. Promo code Hit the Ice is how you do that. Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports is the sponsor of the NHL DFS Strategy Show. Once again, they're rolling out their normal tournaments for NHL. You guys have probably heard the spiel on NHL for now. Just low management fees and weaker competition over on Yahoo in general, especially for the bigger sports, NFL and NBA. So if you play in either of those, or you want to take up NBA or NFL in either of those sports, either of those sports, if you want to use the tools on the site, if you have a platinum membership or whatever, I think Yahoo would be a great place to utilize those. You're gonna again go up against weaker competition. There's lower max entry limits. So you got a 10 max here in the $1, and then management fees, always huge. Yeah, we always get a couple dislikes. That's all right. That's all right. Can't please everybody, right? I'm on a break from hockey. Yeah, I could use a break after last night, boy. I'll show you guys what I ended up losing, but yeah. Glad to hear some of you had success. It would have been terrible if I come on here, I'm talking about getting crushed, and all you guys were saying the same thing. So it's cool that at least a few of you had good nights. Player rankings for NHL today. Look at this smiling face, Alex Baker right there. We all have new photos on our whoever posts it. So I got a photo up there. Everybody else did as well. So you could check out all of our cool new headshots, I suppose, if you're into that type of thing. Golf projections. These are free today as well. Go over cash game lineup construction. Yeah, I mean, I would use an optimizer for cash since I have access to it. But I would just, for the most part, play your highest projected lineup. I don't know. I'm not a big cash player. I dabble in it every now and then. But if someone really wants to play me in head to head, I don't care. I'll play. But I don't really play much cash. I'm more interested in tournaments, I guess. So here we go. Deep dive. This, I believe, is supposed to be free today. Let me check this out. Yeah, it's supposed to be free. So here you go. There's the link for that. Yeah, so I think in general in cash you want to play the highest projected lineup. Maybe there's a 2v2 or a 1v1. You could swap. I don't know. That's what I would do, though. You play more cash volume in NHL than GPP? Yeah, I don't. I've never played much cash. I've always chased the big tournaments since I started playing. So cash on a 2-gamer? Well, I mean, I don't know. There's edges in 2-game slates. There's edges in every slate. In every format, for the most part. That's what we're trying to do. Just capture long-term edge. Make good plays every night, and the idea is you will be profitable in the long term. We talked about Yahoo. We talked about the free stuff. We have to, yeah, there's not a lot of value plays. Everyone stinks, of course, he says. We have to, unfortunately, recap last night because that's part of the show. You see here, one of the only 150 maxers that came close to making a profit or making a profit. Let's look at these actually. So this is something we've done in baseball all the time. So this is the reality of what happens like on nights like last night. A lot of really solid players here. I think I might have lost the most money of anyone in this tournament. Let me check this out. Oh, third most. Yeah, so that's what happens when all these one-offs go off and not full stacks go off. Yeah, that's so thinking of 150 maxing, you're trying to stake up, that's going to happen sometimes. If you're using a similar strategy. So, yeah, was not pretty for me and a lot of other guys. Slewfoot, stud that he is, ended up with a profit. One of the only 150 maxers that did so. We'll look at his lineups. Of course, we have to look at the winning lineup. McDavid, Stepan, Coleman, Jordan Eberle, Patrick Laine, Austin Matthews, Pionk, Scott Mayfield, Hellebuck. So, really the only correlation in this lineup was Laine and Pionk. It appears to me, maybe it's not, maybe this is the way this person plays. This is just a straight cash lineup. Coleman, I think, was a pretty popular cash play. That's why he was 6% owned when his line mates weren't owned at all. Obviously, Matthews, some people victory lapping the Matthews call last night. He was 40% owned in all the tournaments. He was, I'm assuming, double that at least in cash games. So that was a funny thing I saw on Twitter last night. But anyways, Derek Stepan, was he a cash play last night? I don't know. I'm not plugged into the cash plays, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying to make correlated lineups. So for someone like me, it just wasn't going to happen, no matter if I was on the right stacks or not. So just basically all one-offs there. Let's look at Slewfoot. He's not a cash game player. Dvorak could have been. Yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me. A few low-owned plays that I get to in cash due to my projection source. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's plays that people just completely miss, especially in a variance-based sport. That'll happen. Stepan, never a cash play. So, I'm surprised I didn't end up with more of these. Talking about the Pittsburgh Pittsburgh 2 or Pittsburgh 1, I guess you'd call it, Crosby, line 1. So this line was really good last night. As a whole, Matthews, Hyman, no Marner, Kyle Connor instead. I wonder, so Connor had 2 goals, had the empty netter. So that was actually huge that he didn't have Marner in this lineup. Hull, he was the guy that we talked about as a GPP, just like punt that might get 20 minutes. In fact, how many did he end up getting? Yeah, 21. Hit the block shot bonus. That's what you're looking for the cheap defenseman. $2,600. You're not going to ask for much more, especially if the guy doesn't score a point. 9.7 points. Theodore, always a play, at least in my eyes, when he's 5,100. And then not really I wouldn't call this necessarily a correlated goalie. I don't know that he was forcing correlation in here, but Hellebuck, 6.8%. Huge game, had the shutout, 41 saves. Just Winnipeg gives up a lot of shots, so that's going to happen every once in a while. Slewfoot had a bunch, actually, that snuck into the top 100 or so. So maybe had a better night at the higher stakes stuff, actually. Let's check this out. Looks like didn't quite get there, but Slewfoot had not the same lineup, but a different variation. So Hull. So it was basically 3 uniques away. Marner, Foligno, Letang. It was Hyman, Connor, and Theodore instead. I like Pitt. Didn't think they would score 7 goals, but they were pretty good. Let's look at FanDuel now that this looks to be compatible for the most part. What ended up taking this down? Was this I can't remember who said this in chat. Was this one of you that took this down? Let's see what we got. Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Tyson Barrie. So the 4 max over on FanDuel. You can't do more than that. Hall, Garland. I like that 2-man a lot. And then Blake Coleman 1-off. So you just completely nutted your 1-offs. Eric S. Nice job, man. Yeah, you're always watching. So cool stuff. Glad we can. I don't know. Maybe I reviewed your lineups more than once, and you just haven't said anything. But cool that we could do someone who watches the show all the time. That's awesome. Tyson Barrie, and Pionk. But I mean, you just had the absolute nut forwards. Everyone on all of your forwards scored 28 or more, and then solid goalie play. Thomas Greiss. That's what you call just dominating that tournament right there. You cleared it by 13 points. I'm not sure that there was a better lineup across any site. I don't know if that would fit on DK, but man, it really does not get much better than that. So great job. I'm not as familiar with the FanDuel names. I'm sure people have different names on DraftKings and FanDuel, but maybe we could start reviewing some pros and some of the top players over there, because it looks like we are compatible. I never really know if it is compatible. Let's look at the big $100 though. Man, 252.9. Here is another cash lineup. I'm assuming it's a cash lineup. Crosby, Matthews, Gusev, Roslovic, Hall, Garland. Okay, so that's the two-man. And then Letang, Hedman. Like, I don't know. These have to be hand-built lineups, don't you think? It seems like that just... Like, unless you're just going to the optimizer, unless you're just going to FC and just doing one team stack of a two-man and just letting it ride on a, what was it, 11-game slate? I mean, it just seems like this has to just be a hand-built cash lineup. I could be completely wrong. Crosby, Letang, I guess some extra correlation there. But, yeah, huge score. Took down 10K over on FanDuel. B. Kreider maxed this out. No shock there. Has B. Kreider been... I don't look at FanDuel as much. As B. Kreider been dominating on FanDuel? I know on DraftKings he's been as good as anyone. And, you know, maybe people are saying he's got the crystal ball. Sometimes it does look like that. But he's doing this 3-2-1 thing. And then, yeah, he's just... It feels like he nuts on the one-offs, like, and the two-man, like, once a week. And he just takes down everything. Not as much lately, but he's still well ahead for the season, it appears. I don't know that it has to do with the software. I mean, maybe it just has to do with his lineup construction. He's just figured out a system to come up with 150 good lineups that are, for the most part, never going to be duped. Like, I have way more chance, a way higher chance of being duped than a guy like B. Kreider based on the type of lineup constructions that we run for the most part. Machine learning stuff? I don't think so. All right. Let's talk about the games. First one, Blackhawks. Canadiens, 2.7 implied total for the Hawks. 3.4 for the Canadiens. Corey Crawford expected to go against Charlie Lindgren, who is confirmed for the Montreal Canadiens. So for this game, we know Gallagher is not playing. What is on my keyboard here? We know Gallagher's not playing. So we have a good idea of the lines for Montreal. First game of the night, so if you see anything weird on that side, sure. Like, that's always look to swap, especially I always look to swap the line combos unless it's a really weird situation where I don't think the lines are actually going to stick together that they have in warm-ups, but that doesn't happen very often. So whenever there's changes, especially the shorter the slate, the better. Like, if you can get a unique combination, that's huge. So be aware of that on the Montreal side, but especially on the Blackhawks side. Because last night, I know people were looking at shift chart. I usually use natural stat trick, but Kane was with Taves and Kubalik on the top line after they got down, and they were very good. Now it was Ottawa, and they're going to have a way tougher matchup, so maybe it won't even matter that much if that line's together. But just for the sake of having the correct combo, I think that's a line that I would be pretty heavy on. Blackhawks always go back to original lines. Yeah, so if they start like that, I still might just fire up Taves, Kubalik, and Kane as a trio. I think the Hawks suck. I think they're going to trail a lot of games. And no Leonard in net. So they have their worst goalie in net, their backup, I guess you could call Crawford. Now, Crawford's not terrible, but he is a downgrade from Leonard. And then Montreal's just they're just a better team than Ottawa, I think. They've got like Danault, Tatar, not a optimal combo you want to go up against. And so, yeah, it's not a great spot. But I think if you're just going to put the guys that have been scoring the most up on the top line, and not a lot of people are going to have that, it might even just be worth having that. Because you're still going to have a connection, Taves and Kubalik on the top line, and then Taves and Kane on the power play. So I literally might just do that and just say, all right, if I'm playing Chicago, it's got to be the top line or top power play guys only. Because I hate dealing with these awful Blackhawks lines. These are just disgusting. Talked about it last night. But which line do you stack? I guess it's Taves, Kubalik, but you really want to play Kajula here? I'm just out on Kajula. Pretty much, I'm not out on Nylander because he's at least projected to play with Kane, but I just don't think these lines are going to stick. So, Hawks power play, probably the way to attack it, or just take a leap of faith with Taves, Kubalik, and Kane. It's just the same old stuff with the Hawks until they get some new lines. On the Montreal side, our ownership projections are not free today, but we can talk generally about them. Don't want to give away too much. It appears Danault, Kovalchuk, Tatar is going to be the chalkier line. I really prefer the Montreal side. They have the bigger total, all that stuff. I like Domi, Lehkonen, and Suzuki a ton, though. And that's probably going to be the line that I have as much of, if not more, than Montreal won. So I guess that's somewhat of a stand, a little bit of a leverage point. Jordan Wheel, 2,500. He is on the power play 1, listed as the power play 1. I guess that is the Weber unit. But I think the Petrie unit has actually been playing more. So not sure that matters too much. He's 2,500. If you wanted to include him as a power play stack for Montreal, a power play piece, that's fine. I think the ownership is correct tonight. I don't see a lot of individual plays that I disagree with that are getting owned at 20%. Like maybe you could make the case that the Hayes line is too high for Philadelphia, but you have to play someone. There's only 4 teams. So then where do you go if you're getting off of the Hayes line? And so I probably will be off the Hayes line to some extent, but playing 100 lineups tonight, there's just, I'm going to be like, I just know if I have a good lineup, you're going to be a 1v1 or a 2v2 away. Montreal 3 was buzzing last game. Yeah. Kotkaniemi, Cousins, Poling. I mean, I'm not really doing 3-3s. If I was, they would definitely be mixed in. I'm more focusing on 3-2s, 3-2-1s, and just trying not to be duped, honestly, tonight. Because like I said, I just agree with the ownership for the most part. And yeah, if you just run straight 3-3s, like I've done this on 2-game slates where I've just ran 3-3s. I don't think that's necessarily a profitable venture. Because even if you're a 1v1 away from someone, that's better than being a freaking dupe of someone. So yeah, you can run 3-3s and dupe testosterone or whatever. but I'm trying to avoid that, at least for the most part. Like I would say 80% of my lineups tonight are 3-2-1s and maybe some 3-3s sneak in there because I'm going to crunch them out, but it looks not optimal for me tonight. Yeah, and they're terrible for full line correlation. So you're gonna force in some 5-man stack, or not force in. You're just gonna fall into like some 5-man stacks like this. I don't even know, Petrie. There you go. Like that's just different. It's just gonna be different because not a lot of people are gonna have 4 forwards from the same team. They're just not. And on a 2-game slate, I'm much more likely to take advantage of this. Because, yeah, like these guys aren't perfectly correlated together, these forwards. But you don't need perfect correlation on a 2-game slate. You need some, I think. And so that's why I still like to run at least one full line stack. But you could do a full line stack or a full power play stack and then just do one-offs after that. There's a ton of ways to get weird rather than just firing up Fantasy Cruncher and going 3-3. Got to go Gretzky tonight. Yeah, definitely. Gotta play Wayne Gretzky. Keith on the other side, I guess again is my preferred guy for the Blackhawks. He's getting some ownership though, and I don't really like that. So just as a differentiation piece on a 2-game slate, a guy that could easily get the block shot bonus. I like Murphy at 4,700. I just think if people, like if you're using even earlier season numbers from this year, he's just not going to project that well at 4,700. Like he's just not. But I'll take maybe the point less in projection, point and a half less, whatever it is, compared to like Keith and Gustafsson, who are both getting ownership, and Boquist, who doesn't do much in the way of peripherals. And I'll make that pivot because it's not like I'm not going to be able to afford the extra 600 up from Kane or Keith. And you're going to get what, a fifth of the ownership, a sixth of the ownership. That's the type of play I want to make on a 2-gamer. So give me some Connor Murphy. Is Wheel still on the power play one? Yeah, it appears that way at least. On the other side, it's Petrie and Weber. I'm siding with Petrie again. Looks like their ownerships are, Weber getting more ownership. Even if it's close, I think I side with Petrie with $5,200 compared to $6,400. Petrie's been a beast. And that's not great analysis. That's more just descriptive analysis rather than predictive, but I still think the situation hasn't changed. He's still on the power play with 2 guys in each of the top 2 lines, and so that's why I'm getting to more Petrie. What about Sherratt? Yeah, Sherratt, 4,400. That's another one where, like, it's not likely, but let's say Sherratt scores a goal. That is like potentially a slate swinging event. Like if he scores one of the 8 goals that are scored tonight, or 10 goals that are scored tonight, if it's a low scoring night, that's huge. Let's see what he's at. Yeah, 3% ownership compared to, you're looking at 8 to 10x that for Weber and Petrie. That's huge. What if he's one of the only defensemen that scores a goal tonight? Like, then you're gonna need him. So it's a low probability play, but the ownership, I think, on these 2-game slates, like everybody just gravitates towards the best plays, and you should be playing a lot of the best plays in your lineup. And I shouldn't say you should be playing bad plays, but less optimal plays, especially on these shorter slates, just for the sake of ownership and just for the sake of not being duped. You should do that. You should make that pivot. If it fits like a glove, especially on a 2-game slate, you need to do something else, I think. And I'm still going to end up with dupes tonight. I'm sure I'm still going to. And it's going to be frustrating looking through lineup study, but I would like to limit to 5 lineups duped tonight. Maybe 5 lineups. That would be that'd be fantastic actually. If I had 100 lineups and 5 were duped, I think I'd be okay with that. All right, let's go to the other game. Philadelphia, St. Louis, 2.6 implied total for the Flyers, 3.4 for the Blues. Brian Elliott and Jordan Binnington are your goalies. Well, Binnington's not confirmed, but I'm guessing it's going to be Binnington. Either way, so everyone's going to jam in Montreal and then one of these two teams, and especially St. Louis. So matchups here, I'm assuming we're going to see, probably strength on strength, right? We're probably going to see O'Reilly, Perron, and Sanford against the Couturier line, right? You wouldn't want to, you'd rather just take out the other team's line, right? And Couturier has been a beast, mostly defensively, but offensively as well. And he's with Voracek, so I'm assuming that's how they match. And then you go the lesser defensive lines against each other: Schenn, Schwartz, Sundqvist against Hayes, Giroux, and Konechny. Now, I don't really if this were a bigger slate, I don't really love St. Louis. I talk about I've probably faded taking stacks against Philadelphia a lot this season, and it's burned me a couple times for sure. It really has. But for a team that they're middle of the pack, 5-on-5, in terms of allowing opportunities, scoring chances, high danger chances, all that, they don't take a lot of penalties, and let's see where they're at in terms of time shorthanded. So they've come up a little bit, but they're still bottom 10 in the league on a per game basis. So that seems pretty good. So if this were a bigger slate, I'd probably just cross off St. Louis. Offensively, they don't look that impressive to me. Maybe I'm missing something. Defensively, they look really sound though. And you have to take something from this game, right? You can't just stack up the other game. You have to take a skater from this game. And I'm more in tune with the Schenn, Schwartz, Sundqvist line. I actually like them as a full stack. Maybe my favorite full stack of the night. So Montreal 2 and St. Louis 1. Those would be probably my favorite two. But so the O'Reilly line's played at such a snail's pace that they just don't get me excited. Could they score 2 goals tonight? Yeah, they certainly could. And that's going to be enough to ruin me. But it looks like I'm going to be pretty decently underweight on O'Reilly, Perron, and Sanford. On the other side, I like the Hayes line better than Konechny and Giroux. But Couturier and Voracek makes for a pretty good mini, even in a tough matchup. Couturier is just a stud. I don't know. This game is so freaking ugly. I can't really. If it was a 2-game slate, if it wasn't a 2-game slate, I'm just not talking about this game probably entirely. I'm just slow pace. I get the total. Maybe it's a filler stack, but since it is a 2-game slate, St. Louis 1 is probably my play here. If I had to just take one lineup, save your money tonight. Yeah, I know. Don't I sound excited to just jam in all the chalk? No, I'm not excited to jam in all the chalk. But, man. So, honestly, this is the kind of slate where I think you need a system, some sort of system. So we talk about during baseball season, Josh and Adam, especially, they set up these, just basically a lineup ranking system. Because if you unless you're going to do this by yourself, if you're MMEing tonight, there's going to be a ton of lineups that project well that I don't think you should play. Just because of, number one, how you might be a 1v1 away from someone. You're running a 3-3. You're just very likely to get duped. And I think that you just should not play that lineup more often than not. So like all my top lineups that I'm looking at right now, a lot of them have Pietrangelo. So he's going to be a chalky play. I'm not saying you stack up Philadelphia 3 with St. Louis 4, but you're going to need to get at least a little bit different, whether it's lineup construction, taking a third line. Maybe you take the Philadelphia third line. I actually don't think that's a bad play, but that's why I like running 3-2-1 on this slate. Like if you look at my exposures tomorrow, you're probably going to be like, wow, this guy didn't take a stand on anyone. And I kind of like that in terms of just looking at exposures compared to projected ownership or real ownership, whatever you're looking at. I think you should spread it around on a 2-game slate even more. And some people might tell you the complete opposite on a shorter slate like this. Like, you have to take a stand. And you probably do if you're playing one lineup. But if you're playing multiple, if you're playing 5 lineups, I still think you should be using 2 to 3 uniques. And that's kind of the best way I can talk about this slate, because it is leaving 5 to 10K on the table. That's too much. That's too much. In fact, here, let me see if I can do this little experiment. There are lineups tonight in my crunch. I crunched out 160 lineups tonight. And it looks like, so I'm going to trim that down to 100. I'll probably just recrunch. And I might go with the Tays, Kubelik, and Kane thing. I'm more likely than ever to do that because I hate this slate. But like, the chances of them getting duped are like, there might be like 15 or 16 dupes in the tournament. I just have no interest in playing that. So just get away from that kind of stuff. Go through your lineups. If you're using an optimizer and you don't have the system, just go through and say, all right, if I'm using up the entire salary, and it has, if you're trying to bank a large field tournament is what I'm going for. If you're playing a single entry, you don't have to get as weird or as advanced. Or if you're playing a cash game, just play the best plays, play the most optimal plays. But if you are doing large field tournaments, if you're trying to win this tournament with, 5,000 people in it, even if it fits like a glove, maybe you want to swap at least a piece off of it. That's really all I have on this slate. If you guys have other questions, feel free to drop them in. I'm happy. I don't feel like I've been incredibly helpful as far as like talking about the actual plays on this slate. I think they're pretty obvious on this 2-gamer especially. The one way I think you can get really different without having to worry about the rest of your lineup is just going Tays, Kane, and Kubelik, because there's a real chance where if Montreal gets down, it's not like the Hawks are projected for a goal and a half. It's a 2.7 implied total. That's probably above average for what they're going to see for the season on the road. So if you just want to play those 3, you could easily get a goal. That's enormous. And then find your fillers in this next game. Yeah, but I think 5 to 10K is probably a little bit too much. Maybe you could make a case if you're running 3 threes, you leave 5K on the table. Like, let's say you liked Montreal 2, like I said, and St. Louis 1. And just for the sake of getting different defensemen, rather than just going, all right, the best defenseman on the slate, here, let's go with these guys. Like the highest priced, maybe you take off Provorov, and instead you go with Murphy. But then you're not even leaving 5K. But like, that would be the kind of play where I think it looks bad. Put a D-man in the flex, do something weird. Double D? Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe, I guess you could go Provorov, Niskanen. Like the best way that I think of doing double D is, yeah, you can go Sherratt, Weber. Maybe they hook up, pass across the blue line. Like you can envision that happening. at 5-on-5 and a Weber slapper or something like that, and get the double defenseman points. But like the best way, we don't really have a bunch of these anymore. But like the one example that's double D was Ellis and Yossi when they're both on the top power play, both playing huge minutes. Everybody plays Yossi, but no one plays Ellis, who's usually cheaper, playing the same amount of minutes. Yeah, less peripherals, but if he's the guy who's scoring the goals that night, I remember a couple slates where that's been the absolute nuts. And then back when Dougie was in Calgary, I think him and Giordano played a bunch together. And Dougie was, he just shot the lights out. So that would be the situation we want to play double D. I don't really think we've got that great of situations for that tonight. But yeah, so kind of a brutal slate in terms of the games, the actual gameplay. Maybe these will be fun to watch. I'm not even sure which game is on NBCSN. Wednesday night rivalry, right? So maybe I'll watch some of these. I don't even know. I'll probably tune into this game if I see my lineups have a chance. But as always, do not sweat your lineups very early into the slate on the two gamers. It's brutal. But anyways, what do we have tomorrow? What do we have going on tomorrow? Got to be a big slate. I'm hoping it's like 10 games. But 2 games today makes me nervous that we're going to have like a 14-gamer tomorrow. But how bad is the NHL at scheduling? My God. The NBA, they have like 4-game slates minimum every single night. And the NHL is just 2 games, 11, 2, 13 tomorrow. Fantastic. Boy. My God. All right, that's going to be... Well, 13 game will be better to talk about. At least we can have some spots that maybe people won't be on. There will be some good lines that people potentially won't be playing as much as they should. It'll be good. NHL is even worse because half the games on the huge slate also start right at 7 Eastern. Yeah, so it's great because you would think they'd be able to stagger a couple 7:30 games so you could watch a couple of the games while the first slate of games in intermission, but they can't even figure that one out. So there we go. The bye weeks, yeah. So we've got a pretty gross schedule going on until actually the All-Star break, until after the All-Star break. But I still think there's buys after that. Yeah, you're right, Miss J. You were right. You're very correct on that take. All right, so I think that's all we got for today. As far as 2 gamers go, this might be the worst one we've had. It's gross. Anyways, go support Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Promo code OSMO is how you get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. They are trying to, run out contests with lower management fees. So go support and use that promo code if you want to get $30 in free cash. Pretty good deal. Other stuff we got going on today for free. Oh, God, my computer is going to go slow on me now. Rankings for NHL today. If you want to check these out, there you go. Those are free. If you're playing PGA tomorrow, maybe you're playing some PGA on Yahoo, projections are free for today only. So make those lineups. Go back and tweak. Deep dive also. Someone was asking for the link earlier. I think I posted it before. But there you go. There's the link for the NBA deep dive. Adam Scherer. Ship my money. This beautiful face right here did the deep dive today. Deeper dive with Adam and Laffy will be on 10 minutes or so. They'll be doing their thing. Thanks for watching tonight, guys. I think so. It'll be myself tomorrow. I don't know if Nolan is back tomorrow. You'll obviously find out when we go live or in the description. And then we'll have our normal stuff, rankings, projections, ownership projections. Those will probably get updated one more time tonight. And then we will do it all again. Good luck tonight, guys.